So we are here, as you can see, with Ambre Trujillo, who I referred to, and I hope it wasn't offensive earlier today, as the empress of this network, of this community. And there she is. She is the one who had some help getting it started. It actually began before you got here, right? I mean, we weren't up and running, but a lot of the planning was underway. Who, with another one of our wonderful colleagues, who you guys now know as the host of Planetary Radio, Sarah. Mm-hmm. But you got here in time to make it all happen, to make it all go live, right?
Yeah, I got here. Sarah laid a lot of the bones. She actually searched for this specific platform, and the entire team did a wonderful job of making sure that I was ready to take it on when I got here. And we had high hopes for the community, and our original goal was 700 members, and now we're almost at 12,000. There's 12,000 of you, so. Yeah. It's been quite the journey.
Not here with us live right now, but the rest of them are missing out, obviously. Yeah, this has been such a huge success. Our leadership, our board, they are all so thrilled with how this has come together. And it's only been, about a year and a quarter, if that, since we had that big grand opening of the community.
Yeah, it's been March of last year is when we opened up the community. So
thank you to all of you who have joined up. I know that some of you are watching the recording. We heard from several people who aren't able to join us live. No problem, of course. Because I ran up here, I will tell you that if you're on live with us now, but you submitted a question ahead of time, I probably didn't see it. The only questions I have are from Bob Ware, who knew that he would not be able to join us live tonight unless they figured out his internet connection at his domicile, because they were having some technical difficulties. I think I actually saw Bob's name in here somewhere. Anyway, I won't search for it right now. But remember that this is interactive. I will be going to your questions and comments, and congratulations for Ambre, because that's really what we're about. This is Planetary People. And we started, of course, with one of our advisory board members, Gary Hunt, who just did a fantastic job. And we are so proud to have that pioneer in planetary science and planetary exploration as part of the organization. We are equally proud to have Ambre on board. And I'm going to start asking her about how it is that she ended up as one of our colleagues at the Planetary Society. But I will keep an eye on the chat, and we will get to your comments and questions as quickly as possible. But Ambre, tell us, I mean, you came to us, you were already in the space world, right? You were working for another, at least for those of us in the community, very well-known nonprofit.
Yeah, so it was actually my big break into the space industry in the sense of what I wanted to do. And it's an organization called the Space Foundation in Colorado Springs. And I worked for them for a little while, and it, incredible organization. And they were instrumental in guiding me to the Planetary Society, which I don't know, I'm still very close with a lot of them. So I love the Space Foundation. If any of my old colleagues are listening, I still have a very soft heart for you.
And I bet they didn't want to lose you. And I'll bet the Griffith Observatory didn't want to lose you, because you, like Sarah, are another person who also put in your time at that place that helped shape me as a space geek.
Yeah, speaking about first job, so Griffith Observatory was my first job in the, I guess, science communication sector. Space Foundation was my first job, and I would say a proper space industry job. Griffith Observatory was amazing. I worked primarily through something called the school program. If you guys are from California or have anybody that are fifth graders out there, it's a great program where they bring fifth grade students in, and they have the museum guides, which is what I was and what Sarah was. Sarah did a couple more things, but we guide them through the museum and we just kind of teach them about space. So that was, yeah, that was one of the pivotal points in my life, was getting a job at a Griffith Observatory.
I want to hear more about what you did at Space Foundation as well, but what was it that brought you to Griffith? I mean, why was this something that interested you? This space communications, sharing the PB&J, as Bill Nye says.
So, I mean, gosh, it's such a long story, but do you want, like, what started me being interested in the space industry, kind of like
sure.
space in general? Well, you know, it starts, I think it's important to maybe back up a little bit and talk a little bit about like my background, and that'll help like paint a picture as to why.
Please.
I loved it. So I grew up in an area called the South Valley of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this is a very old, very historic neighborhood in New Mexico, very proud, culturally proud people. But it's also an area that is, it's very challenging, and it has a very high gang presence. And so that kind of shaped me going forward a little bit. What my parents did to try to keep us out of that environment and out of the gangs is they put us to work. A lot of you probably grew up, you know, I was one person that grew up chopping wood and pulling weeds and doing all that stuff outside, but I was also, my dad was a Boy Scout leader. And so we grew up camping. And when you're outside camping, a lot of the time you're alone with your thoughts, which is sometimes a good thing. Sometimes I remember lying down, looking up at the sky, thinking about forever. And that like, it just keeps going and having like an existential meltdown as like a 12-year-old. But so I think that was the first indication, one of the first indications that I probably would have loved studying space and being in the industry, but it didn't click for me. I also loved like The Outer Limits and kind of like the older sci-fis. And then my mom, she's the type of person to read to us every night. So that, along with the fact that we were always at libraries. Libraries are great public places, free for parents, to allow their children to go free. And so that's what our parents did, and I fell in love with books there. So those kind of things were very formative for me at the beginning. But I didn't know that I liked space until much later in life. I went to high school, and which is a good thing, right? I went to high school. And when I was there, it is one of those stories where I was a creative child, and then I went into high school, and then the flame dimmed a little bit, right? Like you kind of lose a lot of, I guess, hope and a lot of just like, you know, confidence in yourself. And it's one,
I mean, it wasn't just you. I mean, you didn't always have the best experience with teachers, you told me.
Yeah, I didn't. And I want to emphasize that I did have many good experiences with teachers. I had many teachers that encouraged me, but I think when you're at that very formative age, there was enough negative people around me that it really dampened that flame. And there was enough negative teachers that told me that I couldn't, that dampened that flame. And it almost hurts a little bit more when you hear it from a teacher. I don't know what it is, but when a teacher tells you that you're not going to amount to anything, or you're not smart enough to do something, you believe them. So I went through high school, I graduated with a decent GPA, and I ended up going to university. And I don't think that anything part of my life is unique, but I think that I share a lot of parallels with a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I went to university thinking that, you know, one of the dreams that I had was I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I went, I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. And then I took American politics, and I was like, I'm not going to be a lawyer. And it was a really hard time for me to navigate university. I didn't have, even though my parents were very they were very supportive when it came to creativity and curiosity. They weren't, they didn't have the means to support me financially, and neither of them had their degrees, so they didn't really see the what a degree could do. So it was kind of like, here you go, figure it out. And I went and I did not figure it out, and I dropped out. So I dropped out of university, and I went to my second, plan B. And I wanted to be an actress in LA. So I went to Los Angeles, and it was actually that journey of becoming an actor that made me fall in love with space again. And so when I went to LA, I didn't know anybody, and it forced me to go back to my nostalgic home of the library. And when I was walking the halls of the library, I don't know why I picked up this book. And I think it was because I've always been fascinated by the human condition. And I saw in big, bold print, the evolution of human intelligence. And I picked it up, and it just so happened to be Carl Sagan's Dragon of Eden. And so I read that book, and this is going to make me emotional, but for all the times that those teachers told me that I couldn't understand something, Carl Sagan told me through his words that I could. And so from there, I wanted to learn about Carl Sagan, and I figured out that he wrote all these books on astronomy, and I became obsessed. And when I say obsessed, like for 8 years, I poured my brain into books about astronomy and about space and about science, and really tried to educate myself as much as possible about space. And then I was like, this is what I want to do. And during that time, I just tried to figure out, how do I merge space and how do I merge acting? And I didn't know how to do it. And at the time, social media, science communication was not a thing. And so after a while, I realized that my merged path was storytelling. And so from there, I started volunteering, and I started going to events, trying to immerse myself in the field of just industry experts to kind of figure out where I belong. And from there, I got my job at Griffith Observatory. From there, I got, went on to become a JPL ambassador, started interviewing great scientists and Space Foundation and Planetary Society. So
seems to me that you built your own path with help from people like Carl Sagan.
Yeah, Carl Sagan and Andrian. I think, for people that don't know who Andrian is, not only Carl Sagan's partner in life, but partner professionally. And she helped write a lot of
artistically.
A lot of his books. She was the creative director of Voyager missions. And I looked into her too. And she had a shockingly similar path to my own. And the fact that she went to school, she tried to get her degree, and she got knocked down. She got that curiosity knocked out of her, right? Yeah. The confidence. And it was really her, in the sense that I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. And that was, that was the leading light that I had a lot for my journey.
So this makes an experience that we shared much more meaningful, because when we went to see Andrian at Caltech, and you talked about how much she meant to you, I didn't know about how much you identified with her and how much she and Carl had influenced the direction of your life. And so now it's much easier to understand why that was such a special experience for you, getting to know her and give her a hug, or she hugged you.
You're probably like, why is Amber crying? Amber cries, okay? And it was just, but it was one of those moments where I was just like, this is the person, without her knowing, was my mentor, without even being there physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here she is in the flesh, and she's amazing. Like, some people are like, don't meet your heroes, meet Andrian. She's amazing.
She is amazing. Every time I've ever spoken to her, it has been like a transcendent experience.
Right.
Just listening to her, you know, as I've told this story before, as Neil Tyson told me once, because he worked pretty closely with her for a long time, he said, yeah, every time Anne would speak, I just had the impression that I wanted to just sit down on the floor, cross my legs, and look up at her and listen, because she's that great of a speaker and of a writer. And you know, the role that she played in Carl being able to create what he did and the influence that he had, you know, I don't think you can maximize your description of it. It's amazing. Bob Ware, who is with us, said, Amber, that's a great story, such a great road, and you succeeded. You did. Let me bring back that other question. What is it that you did when you were at Space Foundation, which is a very big organization, well-funded, does a lot with the space industry, the aerospace industry, and military. They put on that big program every year that I've only been able to go to out your way in Colorado once.
Yeah, the Space Symposium, which is a huge conference, and it's actually how I got my job. Is I went out there and I volunteered, and they randomly asked me to do social media because they had seen my stuff on Instagram. They're like, you have kind of like social media experience. Do you want to run our social media during the symposium? So I did it, and they didn't have a job available, but I wanted to work for them. So I literally worked until my feet bled. I was there like in the hallway bandaging my feet, and I think that's the only reason why they hired me, was because I would bleed for an organization. I'm not saying to do that. Don't bleed for an organization.
You don't do that anymore, I hope. Not for us.
But so yeah, so I ended up going and running their social media for both Space Foundation and Space Foundation Discovery Center, which is their museum, and doing just doing a lot of outreach with them. I started interviewing scientists with them when the James Webb Space Telescope deployed. I actually interviewed Thomas Zurbuchen, who was the associate science administrator there at the time. And I also interviewed him again for DART. So that's where I kind of started doing more interviews and started doing more science communication, and specifically social media.
Which continues today, because I do want to get into the other facets of what you do for us. And even some of the stuff that you're doing a little bit on your own with the blessing of the Planetary Society. But let's talk about the community a little bit more. We've already mentioned how far beyond our wildest dreams it's gone, with that nearly 12,000 people of our members, of course, very high percentage of our total membership who have joined us here in the community in one way or another. Obviously, some of you much more active than others. You folks watching now, probably among the more active ones in the community. But there's so much going on here which may not be that obvious, and a lot of it has fallen on your shoulders. I mean, what's a typical day for you just in dealing with the community, and then we'll get into the social media.
Well, a typical day is troubleshooting and doing a lot of tech stuff. But the reason that I love the community so much is because when I was going through my journey of trying to figure out where I fit in the space industry, the biggest thing that I was missing was a community. I had a really, really hard time because I was in Hollywood, and there's not like all of the scientists in Hollywood, right? That's not where you're going to find a scientist mecca. It's in Pasadena. I did not know that Pasadena, Caltech, and JPL were down the street. So I was trying to navigate this world, trying to immerse myself, and I had no idea how. And part of the reason why I love the community is because I feel like a lot of people here, whether they're in the space industry or whether they're trying to break into the space industry, or maybe they're just obsessed with space, they want a community, and it's important. It's important to have people around you that you can talk their ear out off about space, and they can also talk your ear off. Like, some people just don't want to listen. Well, listen here. So I also really wanted to find a place where I could learn more. So like our free courses, we're able to do that. And Mark, he created our journal space, our journal club, which is basically teaching people. He kind of like lays out how to read a journal.
And that's Mark Hilverda.
Yes.
Hilverda, who's online with us right now,
hi, Mark.
also serves as what we used to call our webmaster.
Yes.
Does a lot of great work for us.
He's also a geoscientist. I think like that I would have wanted to, when I was first starting out, I think in order to strengthen my science knowledge is learning how to read scientific papers and learning what a journal was and learning what the peer reviews kind of like process was like. And so he created this space where people can go in and learn how to read a journal, how to read a science paper, and then share their own. And I think, you know, those elements are very important. But yeah, so within the community, my whole goal was to create the community that I knew that I wanted. Was that a dog?
Yes, that was Dennis.
I can't. Distractions.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Dog distractions.
It's very distracting.
Distractions. So you know, a lot of it is a lot of, you know, just maintenance of the community. If you see the Planetary Society icon post something or message you, 99% of the time it's me. If it's, you know, sometimes some of my other colleagues will fill in if I have to be out or something, but, you know, most of the time it's me trying to create this experience for everybody. And it's also trying to figure out how to make it better. Like, how can I get people connected on an even deeper level than just virtual? So I'm constantly working behind the scenes with Mighty Networks, who manages this platform, for them to put features in this community that would allow our members to connect on an even, you know, deeper level as far as like their love for space. So
Keeps you busy. Are we, you know, social media, not always known for being the best behaved bunch, but because this is such a cohesive group, because we share so many interests, I mean, it's not trouble free, I know, but we're pretty well behaved, aren't we?
it is an oasis. Like, you walk into a place and it's just space enthusiasts. It's people that love space. And, you know, I think that what I really value, as well as a lot of our members who have taken the role to assist other members when they're coming in and making them feel welcome, I think that's extremely important. So I also appreciate the members that are in the community that are making others feel welcome. And I think that that is something that the members of the Planetary Society have that is unique, is that we kind of all have this very like positive and just, I don't know, it's just a bunch of people that want to see humanity succeed, and they see it through space. And I think that that is just like beautiful to see.
And, you know, there are other groups who share common interests, and it's always good to be in a community with people who share those interests. But I will say, you know, maybe a little bit arrogantly, our dreams envelop the entire cosmos. Mm-hmm. And so I do think we have a little bit of an edge there. I mean, we wonder about those two big questions that Bill Nye talks about. Where do we come from, and are we alone? Mm-hmm. You don't get a lot of other sort of, you know, Reddit groups on the web that you know, come together because of interest in such deep philosophical and scientific questions. Anyway, my thoughts. Yeah. So it's not all you do. This is, of course, one of the ways in which we want to make being part of the society important to all of you as members and give you these things that make you feel you are part of a society. But so much of what we do also faces outward. I mean, it's enabled by the members because you're the guys who pay for it, the guys and others who pay for it. But there's social media, which you are also. We have a lot of people who do a great job with their social media. I'm not one of them, but you, I'm guessing, are probably still the busiest in that area, reaching beyond the membership.
Yeah. So I also run all of our social media channels, and I do upkeep for that, and I do science communication on our channels as well. So along with our video team, which is Asa, Mark, and Ray, write, host, and produce videos for our social media. So I got a full plate, but I love it. Like, I dreamed of this moment for many years. So yeah, I'm happy to do all of the things.
Merk Boyan, Asa Stahl, who's our newest addition to the Planetary Society, Dr. Asa Stahl, I believe.
Yes.
His PhD's in astrophysics.
Yes.
We have the most amazing group of people. I mean, you want to say something about your colleagues? I mean, we've got the people who've worked in the office for well over 20 years. Some of them are like 30 or 35 years. To the people like Asa, who are still relatively new.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys see anybody from member support, that's my girl, Sandra, who's out in membership. She is my ride or die in this community, and I'm very appreciative of her. But, you know, our whole team, you know, my direct supervisor, Ray, who helps, you know, navigate all of the things. I think one of the amazing things about our team here is that there's, what, 25 of us? 26?
I think it might be 28.
28,
at least
okay.
28, yeah.
We're tiny. We don't have a lot of people, but we all care so much about the Planetary Society, because a lot of us, one, have this special connection with Sagan, right? And Bruce Murray and Lou Friedman, and, you know, we care about the members, and we just want this to thrive. So all of us at the society have multiple jobs, and we're all just, you know, we're trying our best to provide the world with the tools that they need to explore the cosmos.
I've been here 24 years. I think that includes my short period as a volunteer. Yeah. Well, I had a different full-time job at a university during most of that time still. But I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen us go from a group that was less than half that size, where really everybody had to do everything, to where at least now we're all still pretty busy, but we do get to specialize a little bit. And it is an amazing group in terms of both the skills that it brings to the society, that they bring to the society, but also the motivation that they bring to the society. And there isn't one of them that I can't say that I wouldn't want to hang out with.
Yeah.
They're a good group. I'm going to go to some of the stuff that's coming in because, man, the chat has just been flowing by. So I'm going to work backwards here because it's going to be easier. So, folks, those of you who got in early, bear with me, and we'll get through a lot of this. And then maybe we'll talk about the future before we wrap up. And Amber, if it's okay with you, we'll go a little bit longer, partly just because I got 6 or 7 minutes to make up from when I screwed up. Let's see. Craig Griffin, always live the mountains and forests, he says. Lots of you just are saying really nice things. Bob Ware says Sandra's a gem. Yep, she's another one of our newbies. And as you heard from Amber, she's just doing a great job for us. Here's something from Dave Ginsburg. I first discovered you on Instagram doing science messaging posts. When you were starting out on social media, I'm curious what your long-term goals were. Did you ever imagine getting hired by the Planetary Society? Do you have even bigger future aspirations you'd be willing to share with us? Hopefully nothing that would take you away from us too soon. I was going to get to that actually, Dave, and talking about the future, because you are building a following of your own, aren't you?
I'm doing my best. I'm trying to share the love that I felt in. The love of space I have and I had saved me in a lot of ways. So I just want to share. I want to share that. But to answer Dave's question, when I was starting out on social media, if I had long-term goals, the answer is no. I was just trying to figure it out. I knew that I loved space, and I had all of this knowledge, and it was stuck in my brain, and I had no idea what I should do. And I saw other people doing social media videos, so I was like, well, I'll take a crack at it. Maybe if anything, it's therapeutic for me to get it out. And then COVID hit. And then I was like, now I really got to do something. Or I'm going to go crazy inside my house. And so that's really where it began. And I didn't know where it was going to end up, but I've always had the mentality that trying something is not going to hurt. If I fail at it, then that's a learning opportunity. So if I failed at it, then I failed at it. What could I use from that experience to keep me going? So no, I did not have a long-term goal, but it ended up becoming the best thing that I could have done because I love it and I really enjoy it. And then did I ever imagine getting hired by the Planetary Society? I had actually applied to the Planetary Society when Sarah applied, and I didn't even get an email back because I sent the worst portfolio ever. And at the time I was like, it was a shot in the dark. And then it's one of those moments that you look back on and you're like, oh, I really wasn't ready. And then I randomly one day saw that the Planetary Society was hiring for the same position again. This was 3 years later. And then I sent a real portfolio and I was ready for the opportunity. So I think I never expected it to feel like such a full circle moment. I never knew that I was going to go and I was going to work with the Planetary Society, but I mean, Carl is what sparked my love. So I'm thrilled and very honored that I get to work with you guys. And if I have, thank you. And then if I have bigger future aspirations, well, so even though I tried to get my degree, well, I wouldn't say that I tried to get my degree twice. I tried to get my degree once, and then I went to college again to get one astronomy class so that I could convince Griffith Observatory to give me an interview, because when I didn't have the qualifications and you need a certain amount of classes in astronomy, I didn't have them. So I basically was like, I'm going to school. And then they tested me and I got in. So I knew enough to be able to work there. But I am actually going to finish my planetary science degree now. And it took me long enough, but I'm finishing it. And with that, I hope to continue science communication, whether that is through my love of film. So eventually, maybe writing sci-fis. I love documentaries, or doing science communication in some ways. I don't really know where it's going to lead me. I'm just kind of, seeing opportunities and, just letting myself go there. But that is what I love. I love storytelling and I love space. So that is my biggest aspiration.
I love storytelling and I love helping people tell their stories. And of course, that's what we're doing with this new series, Planetary People. And Amber, only the second person in this series that we get to talk to. There will be many, many more. We have a long list of folks that we want to be getting to. So I hope you'll join us for more of these live events. Not that we're done yet, by the way. Oh, and I did mean to say, when you were talking about the videos that are being created by you and others at the Society, check them out, folks. If you are not looking at our videos on our YouTube channel and elsewhere across all of our social media, you're missing out, because these people are doing absolutely outstanding work. And, look at the standard that we have to meet. We work for Bill Nye. So I really think, and Bill will tell you, we have a lot to be proud of here. And it's one of the real shining examples of a big difference in the Society from the time when I started to where we are now. It is so sophisticated and so entertaining and so informative. So, and I'm sure you're going to keep doing this stuff. We need you to keep doing videos, right? I only got to do, I guess the only one I've really been in with you, sort of, is the one I narrated, that silly thing we did for the eclipse classes, where you were basically the one showing up, finding, I don't know, 20 or 30 different ways to express yourself.
Take off those glasses.
Right, right.
That should be in a commercial for them, though.
You can find that on the website as well. So let's see. Ted Souza said, this community is everything I've ever wanted from social media. Glad to hear it, Ted, and I bet Ambre's even happier.
Yes.
Let's see. Hi, all new member. This is from David, by the way. All new member. Oh, you know what? It just switched away from chat. I didn't even ask it to do that. I was trying to make the screen wider. And now I've lost it. I'm sorry about that. If I can find it again, I will. John said, stargazing and astronomy also helped me through some of the rough times we all have from time to time. David Brotman, going to tour JPL. Hey, folks, if you ever get the chance, try not to tour JPL on the open house day, because it is an absolute madhouse. It is so crowded.
Crazy.
Yeah, but if you can arrange a tour in any other way, it is, I've always been thrilled when I've had the chance to go to JPL. Often on my way out, buying something at the little gift shop at the visitor's entrance, some silly little tchotchke gift to give to our chief scientist, Bruce Betts. Let's see, I'm almost back to it. John said, stargazing and astronomy also helped me through some rough times. I read that one. I'm still scrolling back up. I got another question from Dave here. I'll read that. I first discovered you. No, this is the same one. It just went to the top of the pile. I don't know what's going on with the chat here, folks. If you have questions for Ambre, please do post them in the chat. I have a couple more from Bob Ware in print in front of me. But here's one from Richard. Ambre, if you were taking a years-long space voyage to a distant destination, how important to you would being able to commune with trees and possibly bears along the way be? I guess you'd need a holodeck.
Yeah, there's a couple things to that. One, I'm one of probably the very few, or maybe I'm part of the majority, that I have no desire to go to space. I do not want to be on one of those rockets that just go up and down. Like, I don't want to go. I can read it in books. It's fine. But if I were to go on a personal voyage through the cosmos, and do I need trees? Yes. I think that is a necessity. I actually think about that all the time. I don't know what it is, but I think that it is crucial for our psychology as humans to be around plants. Even if we're getting supplied oxygen in some other way, there's something about plants that is very primal to us. So yes, I probably would leave the bears unless the bear was my friend. And many don't want to be my friend. So I'll pass on the bears.
Yeah, you be careful up there in the hills. We hear stories. A related question. If you were offered a free mission and changed your mind, where in the solar system would you most like to go? What would be your Titan?
Titan, hands down.
Little surfing, get a little surfing in.
I want to see. I want to see those oil-like seas, and I want to see those cryovolcanoes, and I want to fly. And so I think Titan is the place that I'd want to be.
I'd like to see you flying right along Dragonfly out there.
Yes.
Just, you could have wings and it would just do its octocopter thing.
It'll be a Pixar movie, me and Dragonfly.
That'd be good. A little short, one of those shorts. Tim says, I'm going for a BS in astrophysics, physics with a minor in math and chemistry. Goal is a PhD.
Love it.
Go for it, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet, Ambre, that there are folks out there who have had a journey somewhat similar to yours. Mine is a little bit similar. I'm not a scientist. Do you have advice for those folks? I mean,
Well, I
just
mean, I
based
think
on,
that there's different paths that you can take. There's, I think, a difference between getting a degree and being self-educated. And I think that the biggest thing that university can provide for you is structured learning in the way that if your brain works that way. I didn't know that my brain didn't work that way until I started exploring science on my terms. So the structuredness did not work for me. I also think that university can provide that community. For me, it was really, really hard to find that community in university. I think it might be easier, especially as you're progressing in your education when you get to your master's and your PhD. There's more and more nerds that like exactly what you like. So
Yeah.
it's easier to convene that way. But I think, you know, my biggest advice is now that I'm going to university and I'm pursuing my degrees, I'm just trying to not, I don't want to do debt. Debt is not, I'm not going to get into debt. So like, I think that there is a lot of opportunity to look for scholarships and things like that. But, you know, university is not easy. And I think going into it, knowing that it's not going to be a cakewalk, and just being okay to ask questions. One thing that I wish that I knew when I was younger is you cannot be afraid to ask questions and you should fall in love with it. So I don't know is a good phrase if you are, if it's in the realm of you trying to understand something deeper. So don't pretend to know more than you do. And so, yeah, I think those are the biggest things that I can give.
I couldn't agree more. All good advice. And that last one, I mean, basically, I've made much of my living asking questions. And people love to talk about what they love. They love to talk about what they're passionate about. Most faculty long for the student who shows a real interest in what they have devoted their life to. And yeah, spend some time. Visit them during office hours, not just when you have a problem, but to talk to them about what's intriguing you and exciting you about what you're learning. So
yeah, make those connections.
Yeah, there's my 2 cents. Here's one from Albert. Amber, what's your favorite mission that you've been a part of or that you've covered? I'll add that.
I've let's see. Gosh, the only one. There's too many. So I really liked Artemis 1. There is a mission on there. There's an experiment that I'm very fascinated about that we haven't gotten the data back, and it's the Helga and Zohar twins. Yes. So where they, you know, they're the mannequins that have the radiation vests, and their whole mission is to figure out how radiation is going to affect the female body, because women have only gone, you know, in low Earth orbit. They've never gone as far as beyond the moon. And so, or to the moon, that's going to change. But we need to know how radiation affects women that far out, because from my understanding, they already know that radiation affects women at a higher level than men in low Earth orbit. So we have to worry about, like, how are we going to, you know, have babies out in space if women, you know, can't do it. So a lot of research having to do with women's bodies on Artemis 1. That's probably one of my favorite missions that I'm excited to get the data back. And I was able to actually cover Artemis 1 at Kennedy Space Center when it happened, which was fun. Unfortunately, it didn't launch when I was there. So it would have been the cherry on top if I actually got to see the SLS go up, but unfortunately it did not get to that point.
Lewis says better shielding and artificial gravity. Yeah, Lewis, it's probably going to, not just for women, but for all humans out there. You want to explore this further, go back and listen to our book club conversation with Zach Weinersmith about A City on Mars, because this is one of the topics that they cover so well during that book. We're getting close to where we need probably to wrap things up. I do want to talk to you about the future that you're hoping to achieve, the other things that are left for you to achieve at the Planetary Society with this community, with social media? Is it just kind of more of what we're doing, or are there things that are just kind of out there on the horizon that you hope we can reach?
Yeah, I mean, I think both growing within, expanding our videos, expanding our education outreach. One of the great things that Planetary Society does that I'm extremely proud of is we give so much free education materials. Like our articles are free, all of those things are free. So I would love to, contribute to making, more videos as far as like science communication. But as far as like the community, there's so many things that I have ready to go that I'm just waiting to press the button on, waiting for the features from Mighty Networks. But I think, just growing this community and making it a safe space for people to come and to connect and to talk about space and to expand their own personal knowledge. Maybe they're on their own self-education journey, and our courses are they're so good. So yeah, just creating a space for people to just, explore their interests, explore space, trying to extend what Carl Sagan was for so many years. And obviously you cannot raise a finger to them. And like Carl Sagan was, there aren't even any words, but trying to do what his vision was and being a part of that and part of this team and part of, the members that also joined, a lot of them because of Carl Sagan. And a lot of them have been around Planetary Society a lot longer than I have and have seen the way that we've expanded and grown. And I would just like to, keep that vision alive, especially in the world that we're in today.
You are very definitely doing your part. I'm proud to stand on the shores of the cosmic ocean with you, Amber, and along with all of the rest of you. And it is why it is such a pleasure to be able to talk to you today and to continue these conversations. We'll talk to other colleagues of ours at the Society, members of our advisory board, members of our board of directors, but also with people on the outside who we are close to, friends of the Planetary Society. I will just mention one more thing, because I did say I got these from Bob, and he gave a couple of examples of things he used to do as a kid when he lived obviously way up north, sub 20 Fahrenheit, minus 6.66 centigrade. And just, that sort of not childlike, but well, childlike because he was a child, but also what we all try to hang on to, taking boiling water upstairs, throwing it out of a second story bedroom window and leaning out the window, trying it in different ways and seeing what kind of craters it would make in the deep snow. So there you go, a little bit of asteroid and planetary defense research underway by Bob, one of our faithful members here in the member community, which is my awkward way of segueing into reminding you of the next live event we're going to do. It's just 3 days away, Monday, 6 p.m., right here in the community. We'll continue the book club by talking with the leader for many years of the OSIRIS-REx mission. Just in the last few days, lots more data coming out of that mission from that wonderful sample they picked up from Bennu, the asteroid that your society helped to name. And we will talk to Dante about his outstanding book. It is such a great story. I told Dante, I was not expecting to be as carried away by this story because it is both a story of the mission and a personal memoir of Dante's progress in his profession. Here is a guy who sure shares that PB&J, that passion, beauty, and joy. And I've talked to him before. You may have heard him on Planetary Radio with Sarah. We will talk to him at length about the asteroid hunter. So I hope you can join us 6 p.m. Pacific right here in your member community.
And I will say he's even better in person. I've had the opportunity to interview him, and he is one of the coolest people that you will ever meet. So definitely go to that event.
Wait till you hear about some of the stuff he did when he was a young guy just thinking about getting into science. That is, if you haven't read the book. You've read the book, right? You have the weekend to finish it. Anyway, it's going to be a great conversation. As always, love getting together with all of you here in the community. I'm just sorry that I got us off to such a late start, but thank you, so many of you, for sticking with us. And if you're watching the recording, thank you for that as well. We hope to see you many, many more times here in the member community. Member community. Amber, thank you for everything you do, more than any of the rest of us, to make all of this, to make this community as great as it is. Thank you for that and for being such a great colleague.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for putting on these amazing events. And thanks to all of the members. And I also really want to stress that if there's someone out there that wants to get into the space industry and you kind of don't know where to start, like, I love giving advice. So don't be afraid to message the Planetary Society and just ask me, hey, where can I get started? Because I love to give advice. So don't message my Amber profile, message the Planetary Society, because that's where I live. So yeah, I'd love to give advice where I can.
All right, get ready for that inbox to be inundated. That's it, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Again, I hope we will see you Monday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific time, here with Dante Loretta. Thanks again, Amber.
Bye.
Bye-bye.